All right. Good to have you here, Mama, on this Christmas day of 2020. How are you doing today?
Wow, Merry Christmas to everybody. Very good. My hair still hasn't been cut, so it looks a mess. So there's a great big pin in it to hold it back, otherwise in my face. Well, I wanted to tell you a story about a friend of mine that we were kids in the second grade. We've grown up forever. Since the second grade, we knew each other. And she lived out in Pleasant Grove, which was about 5 miles out of town. And I'd go over and visit with her and stay with her. And they had a cattle ranch and cows and horses and such. And I got to be about
Something's in the way of your camera, your finger or something.
Oh,
There you go. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So she's out there.
yeah. Okay, so I would go out to her place, and finally I was probably about 11 or 12 maybe, and I was saying to her, I'd like to go ride horses. Can I ride one of your horses? Now she was quite a horse rider. She had an Arabian horse. And she had somebody make her saddle with a turquoise in the center. It was beautiful. And so she thought I could ride okay. So they gave me a little spirited horse, and we just were going to go out for a walk with it. And we had Pat Davis with us. There's 3 of us. Well, as we were going, and it was kind of slow, she patted my horse on the back end and she said, Geronimo! And that horse, you'd have thought that was for the races. She took off and I was hanging on for dear life, swinging from one side to the other, not knowing you hang on with your knees. Oh, we just kept going and going miles. I felt like miles out there. And it took a long time for those 2 to catch up with me and pull on the reins. And I was just hanging on to that front part, and I was just, ah! So we finished that one up, and I thought, oh, I don't think I ever want to be on a horse again. I got off the horse, and I felt so short. You feel short after you've been on one. And so we went back to her house, and her mother would always, I was the only one. She says, here, I've got these roast steaks, and we just got such good food, and all Linda wants is a hamburger. Have to use our ground beef up just for her to hamburger or something like that. And so they'd always laugh, and her dad would call me Little Stoop, and I called him Big Stoop. So anyway, so their father was one of them, of 2 brothers that owned this ranch and took care of it and all. And so I came over another day, and she says, Linda, I want you to try to ride a horse again. I've got an easy going horse. And I says, okay. And so it was out in the stall, and she says, now, you've watched me enough getting my saddle on. You can do it yourself. So I grabbed that saddle and I threw it over the top, and the belt hangs down through the waist, and you have to buckle it up to the other side. Well, the old horse was pretty smart, and she blew all her air out or in, so she was sucking it all in. And I put this belt on it, and I thought I had it tight and put it in one of the holes, let go of it, and she went, let all the air out. And the saddle went right on off the bottom. And I know that she looked back and laughed at me. Well, Ruth Ann said, that's not how you do it. So she came over and stuck her foot right up on the horse and just pushed his ribs right up in there. And then she cinched him up, and he was tight on him, and he was sticking his tongue out. And we said, that's okay. So we got out to ride, and all of a sudden this horse was going every step. And I says, where did you have this cow the last time? In the lucerne or something? And yes, he'd got out in some lucerne. He was gassy. And oh my word, I says, is this what I'm going to ride with? She says, yes, and we're going to go pick up some cows and move them over to a different field. And so here I was with this horse who really didn't want to go very fast. And she knew I was not used to riding a horse that much. And I'd be kicking her and everything. I just said, don't say Geronimo, whatever you do. And so I'd kick it and then she'd go a little ways and go, I thought, oh my word, you're embarrassing me. Here's all these other cowboys out there. They were wrestling up the cows and they were saying, get that cow over there, get that little calf, get him in line. And I was saying, okay. And I try pulling the reins or get over there. Come on, Shorty. And she would go finally over there and move the calf in. And they just says, come on, you got to show her who the boss is. And I was yelling, I know what you're doing. Come on. And she'd keep looking back at me and just saying, you're not going to do that to me today. And there she was just she never got through it. It was just gas the whole time. So then we got back to the stall and I was taking her saddle off. And she inched up close to me and I could tell she wanted me to scratch her on her rump. So I gave it a scratch and I had just made her day. If she'd been a horse, she would have rolled over on her stomach and said, do it some more. So I scratched her and she looked back and she smiled at me. I'm sure it was a smile and said, oh, you are good. But guess what? From then on, whenever I came out to ride a horse, who did they give me? Shorty. And they said, it wasn't that she got into lucerne. She's always been that way since she was a little calf or colt. And they said, she always has had gas and that's just why nobody else wants to ride her. So the other cowboys would get out there and get their horses. Now I'd be getting old Shorty. And I said, you're not playing your old trick on me again. And I stuck my foot up against the horse. And she didn't like that. She just stepped sideways. I'd fall over. I think that horse had more fun with me. And we laughed together. And that's my story about Ruth Ann and me and the horse. Shorty. Okay.
All right.
And then you can put that one on for everybody to see.
Well, I got a couple questions for you. So it's Christmas time, the holidays. Tell us about how your family, Henry and Lois Bolingbroke, would decorate and celebrate the holidays.
Well, I didn't live with them when Lois was there. So my
I'm
mother.
sorry. Nettie, Henry and Nettie.
So, he put lights up outside, just more like one strand around. And we had our windows decorated and circle of lights on them and our Christmas tree over in the corner. And it looked really pretty good. And then on Christmas Day, when we got our presents, I was not one who liked dolls. And if I got a doll, I was always kind of poking their eyes out, figuring out how do they make that eyelid come back up and down. So they didn't like to give me a doll unless it was a stuffed one. So I'd get something else. And my two little sisters would run around to all their neighbors and showing them their animals or their dolls, and the others would be coming to our place and showing off what they got, and it was just a lot of fun that way. But I think I should tell you about our skating. I loved ice skating. You wouldn't believe it. I was not that balanced, not where you think, but I was not too balanced the other way either. So anyway, my dad and all the firemen would go up to the school grounds and put their water out after January, and it was really cold, and just flood that place with water, and it would turn into ice. And so we'd have a big ice skating rink, and everybody loved that and would go over there and ice skate and have fun. So that's what I liked getting for Christmas, was my white pair of ice skates and just skating with others and just having a ball up there. Now on the other side, where they had the between the high school and the tech building, or what do they call that when they do
Grades or
fix
something.
cars?
Yeah.
Lodge. Well, it just snowed, and I guess they brought in some snow because we wouldn't have enough sometimes, and they plow it up so we had a good area, and everybody got out there and threw snowballs back and forth and made forts, and I was just like right in the middle of them, throwing the snowballs, and my friend Doug, who had done so well with cranberry apples, he showed me how to really throw those snowballs. And so we would have a lot of fun getting those other kids and just throwing and having fun. And then our lunchtime would be over and we'd be going back in, people going, I got hit on the side of my head. And she says, did you did you hit somebody else with the one? Yeah. Then don't say anything to me. My hands are cold. Well, just put them under your arms. So we had some whiny ones, but usually we all did pretty good.
Well, I think I was one of the whiny ones growing up in California and then living in Texas and a lot of other warm places, Las Vegas. When I moved to Salt Lake City to be closer to you and my dad, my brothers, a couple of years ago, when I got out of the military, Laurie and I just did not like that ice and snow and freezing weather every night. And after 2 winters, we finally said, we're moving back to Texas. And that's where we're at now, is Texas. Yep.
Well, when I was a little girl, I loved cowboy boots. And I had a little white pair of cowboy boots with a little tassel on the front. And I loved going all over in them. And then in the wintertime, they'd snow plow and plow all the snow up on our side, or it'd be all the way down the pathway. And because ours was the main road up to the high school, so it was always cleared and kept open. And so I was about 5, probably maybe 4. And my mother, we had these big snow suits that you put on, and they were all filled with filling of every kind, of all of, maybe from blankets or whatever, but yeah, you'd put them on and your arms are way out here and your legs are apart. And my mother, the zipper was on the inside of the leg and would go all the way up to the neck. And so she'd get me all dressed up, put my stocking cap on, and I would go, oh, guess what? I got to go potty. And she'd have to take, excuse me. And so she'd take it all down and off, and I'd run in the bathroom and come back in. And I forgot to say, our mittens were tied on to yarn and went down through the arms, so you never lost your gloves. Well, I couldn't wait to get out there, and I would get up on that big pile of snow and walk on top of it all around. Well, my grandma always was looking outside. She knew what would happen with me. I was always kind of a rebel. So I was going along on the snow, and she was looking out her window, and plop, I went down inside the snow and it was over my head. And she came running across the road and grabbed me by my hood, pulled me out of the snow and said, "Don't be doing that, Linda. That's what happens as you fall inside." Do you think that stopped me? No, I'd do it. She'd be watching out the window and I'd be trekking along carefully after that so that I didn't fall in a soft area. So that's that story.
So,
But
so tell
also,
me,
from the Budges, it was clear to the top of the hill. Clear down, we went through that one traffic light that was by the school and the store, and then past my place and on down. And all of us would ride our sleds, and we'd ride them down that long, man, I thought that was 10 feet, 10 miles long. Now I'd get up there and get on my sled, and all the other kids were out there, and we'd all sleigh ride down, and we just hoped we got the light just right so nobody had hit us. We seemed to all do okay. And we'd go through, and then I'd kind of stop and I'd get up on my holding the reins, and I'd be standing up on my sled, going past my house so my mother could see how brave and good I was standing on top of my sled. And oh, I felt so beautiful and good. And then we'd go clear down to the end of the block, and then we'd all get up and run our sleds clear to the top. Okay.
so I have a question for you. What kind of presents would you and your sisters, your brothers, get for each other? Because I have a feeling it was a lot different kind of presents than maybe a lot of times people do today.
Well, I remember the year we had Kelly got his little white Corvette. And it's the kind you push your feet on and drive it. No, we loved that. We thought that was so good. And I probably got some ice skates, and then the kids got dolls. And we used to get a lot of things. We'd get clothes, pretty dresses to wear and things. And Dad always bought my mom a dress and would surprise her what it looked like. He was very good at picking out clothes. And so he would get her a beautiful dress to wear to the fireman's ball. And we had a pretty good time all the time. We always had her sock up with an orange and candies. And it was that hard candy. And it's kind of like a ribbon that goes back and forth. That would be that kind of candy. And don't remember candy bars so much. The only kind of candy bar, though, that they don't make anymore was the best, was a Prairie Schooner. My mom just loved those, and they were nutty on top and chocolatey, and oh, it was so good. And I got to really loving it. And then they quit making it. I don't know whether it got too expensive or what, but there's never been a Prairie Schooner unless someone out there knows about them and can tell me. Okay.
Wasn't there a chocolate, something Spud? It was like an Idaho thing.
Yep, that was an Idaho Spud. And I can't remember. It had chocolate with rolled in coconut.
Yeah.
Probably had marshmallow or something in the middle.
And then there was the Spud nuts. Instead of donuts, they were potato.
The best Spud nuts were over to Logan. And so when Tim was dating me, we'd be over to Logan. We'd always have to stop at the Spud nut shop.
And they made donuts and pastries out of part of it was potato flour, I guess, right?
Yep. That's right.
Now, can you think of some of the traditions that you brought into our home when you raised just 7 boys? Maybe you took some of the traditions from you growing up, or maybe just brand new traditions. What were some of the things that you really tried to do for the holidays for us kids?
Well, we always loved a live tree. Every year we would go out to a tree farm And we would cut down our own tree. And sometimes Tim wouldn't be with us, so I'd have to have John and Ed chop it off at the bottom, or they gave you a little saw and you sawed it off, and we'd get a nice size one and bring it home and have a nice tree, and it made it look pretty good. One year when we were in Saratoga, we had a 2-story house, and it was open when you walked in the house, it was open all the way to the top, like, I don't know, how tall was that?
Probably
2
like
stories.
25 feet tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Entry. Yeah.
So we went out to get a tree, and Tim was looking, and here was this beautiful big 20-foot tree, but one side was all off. There was nothing on there for needles and branches, and this is what he wanted. I said, Tim, what do you want that for? And he said, shh. So when the guy came over, he says, how much would it be for this one? It doesn't have anything in the back of it. And the guy says, oh, you can just have that one. It's not worth anything to us. So we took it home. We had the railing and the stairs going up. We set that tree flat right against there, and it was a beautiful tree. So large. It had a lot of ornaments I had to put on it.
So with the railing of the stairs, it didn't matter that the one side was rather bare.
Right.
It fluffed
You'd have to trim them up anyway.
Yeah.
So that was good. Now let's see what other things. Well, the stockings hanging up was one. Having breakfast together before the kids ran off to tell the kids, what they got for gifts. And then lunch, we just had our meals together. And that was all I can think of.
Yeah. Yep. And I just remember it would get to the point where when we got to be a little bit older, we would end up trying to just not buy a gift for every person in the family. That's 9 people in the family. We kind of got it to the point where we would get a gift for 1 or 2 people. Maybe you would help me get a gift for Dad, and then one for Ed. And then maybe Ed would get a gift for, Dad and Sam. And then you just kind of circle around so that everybody got a couple of gifts, but we didn't have to buy a gift for every single person. And Yep.
Yeah. You always got coats or boots.
Yep.
Dad'd get a necktie or shirt.
Well, a lot of times since we would go to Idaho and Utah for the holidays, almost like every other year, it seemed like a lot of times that's exactly right. We'd get big jackets and big boots or whatever to play in the snow and use it just for like that trip. And then that was about it. Get stuffed back in the closet somewhere and not seen for a long time.
Yes, then by then I go down to the next guy down as clothes. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, that was when the saucer came out, the round saucer. You could get on and spin down the hill and go, and you weren't in control, but you'd come down the hill pretty fast. So we were one of the first ones to bring the saucer out there to Idaho and played with that one. And when we used to use a big inner tube and come down in the inner tube.
Yeah, I could just think of playing with cousins. Some of the other cousins from California would all meet up there, and there'd be all kinds of family. And then we'd have another time we meet up in Tremont and get together with a lot of our cousins from
10 of them.
Yeah, those, and they had quite a few that were, our age, Ed and Chuck and mine. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did all that kind of stuff and getting together and seeing people and having a meal. And Joan would fix such good meals. She'd have a turkey ready or whatever. And we knew we were coming, so we'd try bringing us bringing some salads and things. And then we all brought something to eat. I'd bring spud nuts.
I remember a funny thing at Tremont and hanging out there with the Bolingbrookes. A local grocery store there had the drawing for free turkeys. And they had just a table and you put your name on a slip and stick it in the box. Well, between Ed and I and Fred and let me see, Fred and what's the other one's name? Bruce and Kenny. I don't know. It was like a handful of us were in there. And we just started out writing our names on all these little slips. And we just kept stuffing them in. So we must have stuffed like 10 of them into the box, each of us. And then later on, when they had the drawing, we went back and they started pulling names out of the box. And every one of them was one of us kids. So Ed got one, I got one, Fred, you know, it was like, then finally they go, wait a minute. You guys can't get more than one. You guys need to leave. Okay, go away. So we left, went back. We had like 4 turkeys. So, yep.
Yeah, I could put that in their freezer, and that'd be pretty good for the next year.
Yeah, these are full size, big old, what do they call those, tom turkeys?
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Another one is there was 2 mile out of town, and it goes up to the dump. And Dad would take us up there, Jill and Kelly and I, and we would have sleds and we would slide all the way 2 miles down, and he'd come down and pick us up and put us on the back of his truck, tie our sleds on, and would pull us back up the hill. And he was very careful so he didn't go underneath. And then he got an old hood off from a car and had us all sitting on the hood and spinning us around and turning and everything. And I'm looking at it going, oh, today I wouldn't even let my kids out there. We were just having a good old time and never getting hurt, or just never remember getting hurt. And then one day I looked, I says, oh, I got a scarf, and we were going down the hill. One of my kids always asking, what scars do you have and what do they mean? I mean, how did you get it? Tell us the story. Well, that's the story. I don't know who rode over me. Yeah, but somebody rolled over me with the sled.
With the rail on there.
So I got a good 5-inch, so I must have been bleeding. I just don't remember. It was so cold, it just congealed right there.
And where's that at? On your arm or leg?
No, the leg. So, but it's all gone now. The scars come and go, and you get older. And so you don't have a lot of good memories. But I don't know whether, I'm sure Jill and Kelly remember getting up there and riding on that and having him circle around us and spinning. And oh, I look at that and I just cringe thinking how we could have been hurt, or, we wouldn't say stop. He wouldn't have seen us. I guess he would look out his rear view and see us, but still, that was quite a thing.
Yep. Well, Mom, it's been a good time talking with you and getting some ideas, stories, and memories out there. Now we got it recorded. We can post it on YouTube. And
so my kids know that I did skate and roller skate, but ice skating too, and did a good job. Good. So thank you for asking me.
All right. Well, love you, Mama, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.